Hi, this is Richard Shockley from Richard Shockley's Virtual Bowling Academy, and here's our tip of the week. This week's tip, we're going to talk about the bowling lane and how we play the lane. Okay, a lot of times students ask me, Coach, I don't really understand a lot about the lane. A lot of bowlers talk about oil in the middle of the lane and the back of the lane. So let's talk a little bit about that today. You know, the lane is divided up into three sections, 60 feet to the head pin, 20, 20, and 20 feet. So there you go, three sections. To begin with, let's talk about the front of the lane, which is what we call the heads, the front. Before we go there, you know there's 39 boards, 7 arrows on the lane. A lot of you might not know that. But anyway, the heads are where we put the oil, or as we say, the conditioner. What's the purpose of oil? Obviously, we like to talk about the pattern, the length of the pattern, but in this part of the lane, the oil is heavy and it protects the surface. Every bowling proprietor obviously wants to put oil in the front to protect the surface. You know, we have a lot of high-tech balls with strong surfaces. So realistically, in the front part of the lane, in the heads, we want to protect the surface. Now, when the ball is coming through the heads, what do we want? We want the bowling ball to come through the front of the lane nice and clean. Obviously, it's going to be skidding as it's coming through the front. Now, a lot of times you may hear a lot of technical terms like linear velocity or angle of rotation. Okay, that's fine. But for all of you bowlers that may not understand technically big information pieces, let's get the ball through the front of the lane, nice and smooth, good axis of rotation as it comes through here, okay? This is going to be one of the keys to the front of the lane, to be careful that you don't getting the ball hooking too much. You know, a lot of times these bowling balls are very, very porous. The more that we bowl up here, the oil does what? Tracks on the ball. We have what we call track flare. More than anything today than in the old days, we didn't have as much of that oil depletion on the ball. So it's carrying oil down the lane. So what happens is, as it disappears up here, you got to be careful that your ball is not hooking too soon. A lot of my friends on the Pro Bowlers Tour say that they want to get the ball through the front or through the heads of the lane, save the energy for the back. Okay, that's enough about the front of the lane. Now we're going to talk about the middle of the lane. Okay, now let's talk about maybe the most important part of the bowling lane, which is the second section. As you can see, I've got a yellow line here. We also had a yellow line up here at the end of the front of the lane, or the heads. You know, the oil patterns today are generally on the house shots about 41, 42 feet. Sometimes they're 39, depends on the proprietor. Here's where we go. When the ball is coming into this section, you know, sometimes the high-level bowlers will call this the mids, M-I-D-S, the mids. Or it's the middle of the lane. Pretty simple, right? Middle of the lane. Now, the oil is less as it's coming into this part of the lane. Or in other words, if you look at the oil from the side view, this would be the front of the lane. It's very thick. Now it's coming down into the middle of the lane. It's going to taper down thinner and thinner. This is a phase where we call the ball should go into a hook phase, kind of a hooking motion, okay? The bowling ball has a motor, it has a core, okay, inside. Obviously, what I call the tires or the surface. By the way, the surface is probably the most important part of a ball, but the core has a job in the middle of the lanes. You know, a lot of the great bowlers and the ball reps, like Dale Ballard and Chris Schlimmer, they watch pros bowling balls in this part of the lane. So should you. You really need to watch your ball in the middle of the lane, okay? Some of these guys get really technical again, and they use the term reading the lane. The ball's not reading the lane. What does that mean? That's like reading a book? No. The ball's surface is not picking up the surface with friction here, okay? So the ball's getting into a hook phase, okay? Starting to make a move. Something that we go technical again, maybe finding its preferred spin axis. Don't worry about that. Watch your ball in this part of the lane. This is really, 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 really critical. Okay? Finally, we're going to talk about the back ends. Okay, and here we are, the back of the lane, the last 20 feet. I've got another yellow line. Actually, it should be a little bit further, but I want you to see that end of the back of the lane. Okay, what's the purpose of the back of the lane? I'm going to go out here. Let me show you something. Kevin, can you move the camera over just a little bit? I'm going to move over here just a touch. Oh my God, what's he doing stepping on the lane? All of my days down at Kegel, we would come back because there's no oil here. Hear that? It's just a nice dry lane. The lane machines today really have to keep the back ends, which is what this is called, the back of the lane or back ends, nice and clean. Obviously, because we have to have what? We have to have friction, okay? If you watch the Pro Bowlers Tour, they have long oil patterns, maybe the shark pattern, okay? So think about it. If the oil's coming down further, tougher to get friction on the back. But house shots, this is why we have a lot of friction, usually on the outside, gives you a nice run to the pocket. You know, in my days in the pro shop, a lot of my students would come in and they would go, you know what, Coach? I want you to drill me a ball that's going to go long down the lane and take a left-hand turn. They want the voodoo on the back end. They want the big ball, the big wheel. Why do you want that? Why do you want the ball to go so far down the lane and do a NASCAR, take a left-hand turn? Do you want the shape of your ball or the shape of the ball motion to be like a hockey stick? Why in the world would you want this kind of a ball motion? A lot of the pros, and we used to talk about this, the ball's coming down maybe 50 feet and then she goes dead left. I would ask my customers, are you a right-hander? Are you a big fan of the 4-9? Okay, the ball's going to make a big move into the pocket. I really don't like ball drilling for, long and snap. Don't like it at all. Okay? Here's what I like. And I promise you a lot of tour players and world-class players around the world, you know what kind of shape that they like when the ball comes down? The banana. All right. Here's the banana. What does this show? It's going to come down. It's going to have a smooth arc to it. What's wrong with that? Nice and smooth, down to the back of the lane and make a nice run. A lot of top pro shops around the world, I would guarantee you that they like to drill balls with the smooth arcing roll. We want the ball to roll to the pocket. What's that going to do? It's going to get rid of these things. Snap, okay? We want the ball to roll on the back end. Okay, there you go. There's the front, the middle, the back of the lane. Hope this information will help you understand. Watch your bowling ball a lot down this lane and you'll bowl better. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this week's tip. For a personalized lesson, you can send your videos to me at Richard Shockleysvirtualbowlingacademy.com to help you take your game to another level.